Hello everyone, this is Guy, and it's time for a video game review, and today's video game review is a game that you may or may not have heard of. This game was released late in the Atari's lifespan, which explains why the cartridge label is red. And this game is none other than Midnight Magic on the Atari 2600. Is it any good? Let's find out. If you've never heard of the game before, you probably don't know what kind of game it is. Basically, it's a pinball game. Now, I know that there's already a pinball game for the Atari 2600 known as Video Pinball, but anybody who's played Video Pinball knows right off the bat that the physics in that game were totally out of whack. So, how is it any different than Midnight Magic? Well, before I answer that question, I should explain how pinball actually works. Basically, you have a bunch of paddles and you have to bounce this ball up into the air and you have to make it ram into other objects so that you can score points. If the ball goes down the gutter, then you lose a life. So it's basically pretty straightforward. So now let me go back to that question I was asking previously. I personally think that the game is a huge improvement over Video Pinball simply because the graphics and visuals are not as blocky and it's a little bit more colorful. But besides graphics, the physics are way more realistic and it almost feels like a real pinball game. And I gotta say, for an Atari 2600 game, I'm impressed. Honestly, I'd say that this has to be the best pinball game on the Atari 2600. But I do have some issues with it. First of all, the gameplay is incredibly random and there's no strategy whatsoever. Most of the time it's bounce your ball up into the air and hope for the best. Sometimes you'll survive, and sometimes you'll fall into the gutter with no control at all. Now, I do understand that they were trying to make the game like a realistic pinball game as much as possible, but still. However, Midnight Magic has a cool feature. Whenever you hit all of these colored blocks that are on top of the board, you'll be able to get double points, which means that every time you hit objects, you'll get twice as much score as before. I like this idea. Having super bonuses felt very rewarding and extremely satisfying all at the same time. In conclusion, Midnight Magic is an okay game. It's not the best game on the Atari 2600, but it's definitely the best pinball game on the Atari 2600. If you're a huge fan of pinball, I would recommend checking this game out. But I would only recommend paying somewhere between $5 or $15 for this game. But anyway, that is the end of my Midnight Magic review. This is Guy saying take care and see you later.